Hey yogis, welcome to the channel. If we have not met before, my name is Alauna and I'm a 22-year-old yoga teacher based in the state of Arizona for now, and I post weekly yoga flows here on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe and stick around. A few weeks ago I posted a new moon flow where we worked with an intention. So if you missed that video, just go ahead and think of an intention now, some quality or virtue that you would like to cultivate. And if you want to know a little bit more about the science behind intentions, you can check out my video here. But we're going to be working with that intention again in today's video for the full moon flow. And in the new moon practice, we set the intention that we wanted to cultivate and began to work towards it. So now in the full moon practice, we're able to be grateful for and appreciate how far we've come in working towards that intention over the last few weeks. And we can also begin to notice the things that we need to let go of that are kind of holding us back from this intention. And so throughout today's practice, we're going to be focusing on releasing everything that no longer works for you. So with that release in the mind, we're also going to be working on releasing through the body, really opening through the chest and opening through the hips. With that said, we will be needing 2 blocks towards the end of our practice. And if you don't have 2 blocks, you can just grab a rolled up blanket or 2 to use in fish pose towards the end. That's one of my favorite chest openers. But to begin, let's just go ahead and come into a wide-legged child's pose, bringing the knees wide, toes to touch, and walking the hands out in front of you as you melt the hips back towards the heels. Forehead comes down towards the mat. Beginning to draw your awareness inward, bringing your mind onto your mat, and begin to settle into your breath, beginning to notice every inhale and exhale. If your mind begins to wander off of your mat, simply internally repeat today's affirmation. I release all that no longer works for me. I release all that no longer works for me. Not trying to think about what you're trying to release, but just feeling what it feels like in the body when you release all that no longer works for you. On your next inhale, lift the forehead up off of the mat and walk both hands off to the right, lowering the forehead back down, coming into a side stretch. And inhale, come back through center. And exhale, hands to the left, second side. And an inhale, press back up through center. And then lift the hips up, coming into tabletop position. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And move through a few cats and cows, just waking up the spine. Inhale to lift the chest forward. Exhale to round, drawing shoulders up towards the ceiling, chin to chest, cat pose. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Just moving with your own body and your breath. On your next inhale, come to a neutral spine. And then step the right toes back behind you, straightening through the right leg. Keeping the wrists under the shoulders, left knee under the hip. Begin to lift right toes up off of the mat. Engaging through the leg, maybe rotating through the ankle a little bit. And then drawing the belly button up and in so you're not rounding through your lower back, Making one straight line, maybe reach the left fingertips out in front of you. So opposite hand to foot. And really reach out as if you're being pulled in both directions, fingertips to toe tips. And then you can feel free to stay here. This is a great option, firing up the core and the body. Or you can add a little twist. So bring the left arm behind you and maybe reach for that right foot. Pressing the foot into the hand to really open through the chest, keeping the hips as close to aligned with another as you can. Exhale, release the left hand back to the mat, but keep the right leg extended. Now keeping the left hand, left knee down, begin to open the entire body towards the right, reaching the right hand up and keeping that right foot lifted, engaging the glute. Stacking the shoulders and opening through the chest and the hips. And then feel free to stay here. This is totally enough. Or if you want to add a little bit more of a chest opener on this side, reach back with the right hand to grab onto the right big toe, trying to keep the knee aligned with the hip. And again, kicking the foot into the hand. And then exhale, slow and controlled, release the hand and foot back down. And step right foot in between the hands. Just coming into a quick little low lunge, feeling a release in the hips. You can just keep the arms down. Then from here, tuck your left toes and lift the left knee up off of your mat. And then step the right leg back, lifting it up into a three-legged dog. Bending into the knee to open the hips. Finding length out through the knee. Opening through the hips. And exhale, bring the right knee behind the right wrist, lowering down, extending the left leg back. And before lowering down, we're going to keep the hands on the hips. Make sure that both hips are in alignment. You're not leaning more onto one side than the other. And then bring the hands in front of you. And inhale to lift the chest up like in cow. And exhale, round forward. Inhale to press back up, lift the chest. And exhale, lower down. One more, just like that. Inhale to lift. And exhale to lower. This time maybe coming down onto the forearms and relaxing into this pose. Taking 5 deep breaths in this pose, keeping your awareness on your affirmation. I release all that no longer works for me. I release all that no longer works for me. On your next inhale, slowly begin to press back up onto your hands, walking them back in. Then tuck the left toes, walk the left knee in until you can bring that right leg back, coming into tabletop. But lift that right leg back up, keeping a bend in the knee, and make some hip circles. Just trying to find some release in that hip after so much stretching on just one side. Then reverse the direction of your circles. And come back to tabletop position. Switching to the second side, extend the left leg back behind you, keeping the right knee directly under the hip, and lift the left toes up off the mat, keeping the left hip aligned with the right. So not hiking it up. Engaging through your core, drawing the belly button up and in. Reach the right arm forward. Again, reaching in both directions as if someone is grabbing you and pulling you. That wouldn't be very nice, but imagine. And you can feel free to stay here, or you can extend the right arm back, finding that left foot, pressing the left foot into the hand, lifting through the chest. And exhale, release, right hand down, keep the left leg extended. Keeping the right hand down, right knee down, lift the left hand up. Coming into a half side plank with the left foot lifted, right knee bent and on your mat. And feel free to stay here or reach that left hand back to grab onto the left big toe. Again, big open through the chest here. Exhale to release all the way back through center and step left foot in between the hands. Coming into a little low lunge. A little stable stretch. Then from here, tuck your right toes, lift the right knee off your mat, and lift the left leg up and back. Three-legged dog, bending into the left knee, focusing on opening through your hips, keeping the shoulders squared towards the mat. On your next exhale, bring the left knee behind the left wrist, lowering down, extending the right leg behind you on the mat. And again, lifting up, bringing the hands to your hips to make sure you have proper alignment before moving into 3 of those little cats and cows. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Inhale up, exhale down. One more. Next exhale, lower down onto the forearms. Relaxing into this pose, finding release in the hips. Taking 5 deep breaths here as you internally repeat the affirmation, I release all that no longer works for me. I release all that no longer works for me. On your next inhale, slowly press back up onto your palms. Walk the hands back in. Tuck the right toes and walk right knee in so that you can bring the left knee back beside it in tabletop. But then lift the left leg up and take a few hip circles. And come back, all fours. From here, walk your knees back, tuck your toes, and lift your hips up and back for your only downward dog of class. Inhale, look between the hands, and step the feet to the top of your mat, coming into a forward fold. Then inhale, slowly rise up to standing. And come to face the long edge of your mat, wherever you can still see me. And we're going to turn the right toes to face forward. So making sure that the front heel intersects the back arch. Just moving into a triangle pose. Reach the arms up, extending through your fingertips. Then shift fingertips forward and lower hand down to shin or to your thigh, whatever is most comfortable. And then to open up through the shoulders and chest a little bit, just make a few arm circles here, reaching the arm forward, back and up, forward, down, back and up. Then you can reverse the direction. And then slowly come back up through center, Bring your hands to your hips and turn the front toes in, back toes out. Again, keeping that knee straight with just a slight bend. Reaching the arms up. Shift your fingers forward and lower down. Triangle pose on the second side. And again, adding some arm circles. Reach forward, down and back. Maybe noticing how this side differs. And then switch directions. And slowly make your way back up. And angle both heels in, toes out. And you can bring your hands to your inner thighs as you begin to bend into the knees, keeping the knees pressed out, keeping the hips neutral. Coming into a goddess squat. You can bring your hands to your thighs. Inhale to lift the chest. Exhale, lower one shoulder down. Inhale, back up. Exhale, second shoulder. Just moving through a few rounds here. And once you're even on both sides, you can just slowly come back to standing at the top of your mat. Mountain pose. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Fingertips to shins. And exhale, plant both hands and step back onto both knees, coming back into tabletop pose. This time, keeping the knees directly under your hips, walk the hands forward, melting the chest down, forehead down to the mat in puppy pose. Noticing where you feel this pose the most. Noticing if you've lost your affirmation. I release all that no longer works for me. Imagine all of your stress and tension just melting off your shoulders here. Taking deep breaths. On an inhale, lift the forehead and shift forward onto your stomach. And you can bring the hands off to either side of your mat, tinting onto the fingertips and keeping a bend in the elbow. Pressing the feet and the hip bones down into your mat. Inhale to peel the chest up off of your mat. Coming into an uplifted cobra. Inhale to lift the chest. And exhale, lower right shoulder down. Inhale back up. And exhale, left shoulder down. So kind of like what we did standing, but not standing. Noticing how this may feel the same or different. And once you're even on both sides, just extend your arms back behind you, bringing your chin down to the mat. Making sure that your palms face in towards the thighs, thumbs pointed down. Keep pressing down through the tops of your feet and your hip bones. And inhale, peel the chest up, squeezing the shoulder blades back. Keeping the arms in. And exhale to lower. Inhale to lift the chest back up. And exhale to lower. This time, if you would like to add on lifting the legs, press down through the pelvis and inhale, lift arms, chest, and legs. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Think of pulling the chest forward, shoulders back. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale to lift. Exhale, release. Good. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Slowly press up into all fours and come into a seat. Grabbing onto your blocks. You can bring them into a T shape at the top of your mat. If you don't have a block, of course, just use a blanket. Just make sure that the upper back and the top of the head are supported. So if that means you need 2 blankets, go get it. So slowly allowing the back to relax onto your blocks or your props, aligning the base of your prop with your bra strap, and allowing the shoulders to melt onto either side of it, and bringing the second prop underneath the base of your head, wherever is most comfortable, and this might take a little bit of adjusting to get it right. But then just allow the arms to rest at your sides. And you can either keep the legs out long, or you can bend into both knees and bring the soles of feet to touch, knees apart, in a reclined butterfly fish pose. Maybe closing down the eyes, and internally repeating, I release all that no longer works for me. I release all that no longer works for me. Slowly begin to lift the chin in towards the chest and press down through your elbows and forearms to slowly come up off of your props and just toss them off to the side. And we're gonna lie right back down. If you had your knees open, you can bring your hands to your outer thighs and bring them to a close. And bring the soles of your feet to the mat. And then reach your arms up and overhead and interlace the fingers. Bring it back behind the head. So wherever is most comfortable, and really just focusing on keeping the shoulders and elbows down on the mat as we move through reclined twists. So cross the right leg over the left, shift the hips to the right, and drop the knees to the left. So even if your knees don't go that far, really just focus on opening through the chest here. Again, feel free to just keep your eyes closed here in this pose as we wind down our practice. Inhale, slowly come back through center, and just keeping the arms as they are, switch the cross of your legs, and shift the hips to the left, drop the knees to the right. Whoop, did you see my elbow come up? That means I went too far. So again, focusing on keeping the upper body plastered to your mat. And a reclined spinal twist. Internally repeating, I release all that no longer works for me. Inhale brings you back through center. Uncross the legs and release the arms down long by your sides. Moving into Shavasana, some well-deserved rest after our movement practice. Just taking the next few moments for yourself. And just feeling what it means to release all that no longer works for me. I release all that no longer works for me. Staying connected to your breath and keeping the eyes closed in Shavasana. Slowly start to bring some movement back to your hands and your feet. Maybe reaching the arms overhead for one final full body stretch before bending into your knees and rolling onto one side. Keeping your eyes closed as you slowly make your way up into a seat. Either bringing your hands to your knees or hands to heart center. And taking 3 final grounding breaths together in 3, 2, 1. Slightly dipping the chin, and internally repeating, I release all that no longer works for me. Slowly blinking the eyes open and coming back to your room. Namaste. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know down in the comments how this flow went for you. Also, if you liked it, I would love to see your thumbs, and again, be sure to subscribe down below for more free yoga here on YouTube. Also, if you're interested in a research reviews video, kind of like my setting intentions video, but about setting affirmations and how those work, I would love to do that, so let me know. I'll probably make it anyways and link it in this video later on. But for now, here is your full moon practice, and be sure to save this video for the next full moon. Maybe just incorporate it into part of your practice. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys.